All right, so we're diving into good team, bad team today, looking for strategies to, take our teams to that next level. And they start off with this story about a fire chief, right? And he gives this rookie a pretty big task. Buy a new fire engine. You'd think, great learning experience, right?
That sounds like a good opportunity, hands-on.
Yeah.
But there's a twist. It's a classic example of what can go wrong, even with the best intentions.
Totally. So the rookie, they go ahead and order the fire engine, which, okay, that's what they were asked to do. But they reordered the exact same fire engine, didn't ask anyone, didn't check in with the crew, nothing. Just boom, same engine, round two.
And it really highlights this blind spot we often have, assuming everyone thinks the same way we do. Especially for leaders who are like solo superstars before. Being great at your individual work doesn't mean you automatically know how to build a team, how to get that synergy going.
Which leads us to this whole good team, bad team idea, right? Like, you can have a team full of absolute rock stars, but this book argues things can go south fast if you don't figure out the whole people side of the equation.
Totally.
Yeah.
They call it the people problem. The idea that even brilliant, talented people can be on a team that just totally falls apart just because they haven't figured out how to work together effectively. Individual brilliance only gets you so far,
Okay, so how do we solve this people problem? This is what I found so interesting. The book introduces this thing called the FourSight thinking profile, and it's all about how we approach problem solving. Like, some people are brainstorming machines, right? Ideas galore. And then others, they're all about the planning, the details. This profile helps you understand those different strengths, how to actually use them to your advantage as a team.
And what's great is it's not just another personality test. It's not about labeling people. It's really about understanding how people think, particularly in those problem-solving moments. We all have our natural preferences, how we approach a challenge, and that's okay.
Right, and the book is clear. No single preference is better or worse. It's about recognizing the diversity of thinking on your team. There's this anecdote about the author herself. She identifies as an implementer, amazing at getting things done, but customer service, not her favorite thing. And then there's Kelly, who excels at customer service because her instinct is to clarify problems first, make sure everyone's on the same page.
Exactly. It's a great illustration that these preferences, they're really about our strengths, our potential blind spots, not about being good or bad at something. Understanding these nuances on your team, that's step one to really unlocking their potential.
Okay, so we've got these different thinking styles, right? But how does it all come together in, the real world? How do we use this stuff to actually build a stronger team?
Well, that's where they introduce this FourSight framework. It's their model for how these different thinking preferences can actually work together to solve problems better. It's pretty cool, actually.
Okay, yeah, tell me more about that. I'm already picturing my own team, trying to figure out who fits where.
All right, so picture this. You've got a challenge, a problem to solve, right? First, you need your clarifiers. These are the folks who thrive on details. They're going to be asking a million questions, digging into the data, really making sure everyone understands the problem before anyone even starts talking solutions.
They're like the detectives of the group. Got to get all the facts straight.
Exactly. And then you've got your ideators. These are your big picture thinkers, always bursting with ideas. Brainstorming is their jam. They're the ones connecting the dots that nobody else sees, throwing out those, what if we tried this? You know the type?
Oh yeah, you can always spot the ideator in a meeting. They're the ones with the whiteboard covered in colorful Post-it notes. That infectious energy.
Absolutely. But once you got all these ideas flying around, that's when you need your developers to step in. These are your master planners, the ones who can take a wild idea and turn it into an actual plan. They're the ones thinking timelines, resources, potential roadblocks.
They're asking those practical questions like, okay, that's a cool idea, but how are we actually going to do that, and what happens if they keep everyone grounded?
Exactly. And then, of course, you need someone to actually execute the plan. That's where your implementers come in. These are your action-oriented folks, all about results. Get it done, check it off the list.
Implementers are the ones who make things happen no matter what. Probably have color-coded to-do lists, the whole deal.
Right. But here's the key for you as a leader. It's not about having a team full of just one type. The magic happens when you've got that diversity of thinking preferences where everyone can contribute their strength at different stages.
Okay, so it's not about finding a team of clones. It's about the right mix of perspectives, which, you know what, this reminds me of the story in the book about Babs and Elena. They're total opposites, thinking style-wise. Babs is a total ideator, ideas for days, and Elena, she's all about the meticulous planning, developer, through and through.
They're a great example of how these styles, which might seem at odds, can actually work together so well.
At first, they clash, big time. But then they realize Bab's big picture thinking and Elena's planning, it makes them unstoppable. Babs brings the groundbreaking ideas, and Elena figures out how to actually make them happen in the real world.
It shows how diversity of thought isn't just some nice-to-have, feel-good thing. It gets real results. A team with that mix of your clarifiers, ideators, developers, implementers, they're going to outperform a team that's all the same every time.
I'm seeing how this could be a game changer. It's not about personalities, it's about using everyone's natural strengths to solve problems better, achieve more as a team.
Absolutely. And that's where hands-in leadership comes in, but we'll get into that in a bit.
Okay, so we've got these thinking styles down. We're starting to see how they play out in a team. But now I'm thinking, how do we become better leaders with this knowledge? Where do we fit into all of this?
That's where their take on leadership styles comes in, and it's a really important distinction. They talk about hands-on leadership versus hands-in, and it's kind of huge.
Hand-on versus hands-in? Okay, yeah, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Think about leaders who are used to just crushing it themselves, right? They're so used to being high performers. They jump in, do things themselves. Maybe they think it's faster, or maybe they think they can do it better. It's that whole, if you want it done right.
Oh yeah, do it yourself. I've been there. But the book makes the case that this hands-on style, it can actually backfire, right?
Big time.
Yeah.
It leads to burnout for the leader, resentment from the team who feel like they're not trusted, and ultimately the team never reaches its full potential because everyone's waiting for the leader to just do it themselves.
And they give that example of Letitia, right? That super gung-ho volunteer leader who burns herself out completely because she's trying to do everything.
Letitia's a classic example of what not to do. No matter how talented you are, you can't do it all yourself. And trying to. Recipe for disaster.
Okay, so how do we shift from that hands-on to this hands-in approach? What's that look like day to day?
Hands-in is about empowerment. It's knowing your role is to guide, to support, not to control every little thing. Creating an environment where everyone feels ownership over the work.
I love that. They use this analogy of a car engine, right? Everyone's got their hands in there, working together, each person with their own expertise, but you're all in it together.
Such a great image, right?
Yeah.
Because it gets at that collaboration, that shared responsibility. When everyone feels like they have a stake in the outcome, that's when the magic happens.
And that's got to be where understanding those FourSight profiles is so important, yeah. Because otherwise we fall into that trap of leading with our dominant preference, even if it's not what the situation calls for.
100%. There's this cautionary tale about a company president, total ideator, tons of energy, always chasing the next big idea. But he almost ran his company into the ground because he wasn't listening to the more practical voices on his team.
Sounds like he could have used a few more developers and implementers to balance out that ideator energy, huh?
Exactly. And that's why self-awareness as a leader is so crucial. Know your strengths, but know your potential blind spots so you can build a team that complements you, that helps you make better decisions.
So we've got understanding ourselves, understanding our teams. What else does this book offer for actually building a great team? What are the action steps?
They really emphasize creating a climate where all those thinking styles are valued. Make it clear that you want to hear different perspectives, even if they clash a little. Create that space for people to approach problems in their own way.
I remember they suggest an exercise, suggestions for working together, where the team actually sets ground rules for how they'll collaborate.
Love that. Such a good way to be proactive. Set that tone of respect and inclusivity from the jump. Everyone feels safe sharing their ideas, no matter their thinking style.
And they talk about the importance of regularly clarifying the team's purpose, too.
Huge. That shared understanding of why are we here? What are we working towards together? That's what unites a team, gives everyone that sense of direction. Otherwise, you're just a bunch of individuals, not a real team.
And they told that story about Etienne, right? The leader who used animal mascots to unite his team of, super specialized experts.
I know, it sounds kind of out there, but it worked.
Because it was about finding that common ground. Those little things matter.
Absolutely. Sometimes the simplest solutions are the most powerful.
Okay, so much good stuff here. We've got understanding those thinking styles, building that collaborative environment, knowing our purpose. But what about when conflict inevitably happens? Even the best teams, it's going to come up, right?
Oh, for sure. Conflict is just part of working with people. And they have this great tool for navigating those tough conversations called Situation, Behavior, Impact Feedback, or SBI.
SBI, okay, break that down for me. How'd that work?
It's a way to give feedback that's clear, that's about the behavior, not the person. No attacking personalities,
So instead of like, you're always late to meetings, it's so disrespectful, I'd say. What?
You'd start with the specific situation. At yesterday's team meeting, then the behavior you observed, you arrived 15 minutes late, and then the impact, which meant we had to spend extra time getting you up to speed, and it pushed back our timeline on the project.
And they say it's important to own your emotions in that impact part too, right? Not blaming, but explaining how you felt.
Yeah, that's key. It
Yeah.
shifts the focus from blame to understanding. So instead of, you made me feel disrespected, it's, I felt frustrated because I value our time together, and it seemed like we lost valuable time we could have been using to move forward.
They had that great example with Francis and Craig. Francis is fuming because Craig leaves a meeting early without helping clean up, thinks it's super disrespectful. But then, using the SBI approach, she finds out Craig's son got hurt. He had to rush to the hospital.
It's a good reminder, right? We never know the full story. Approaching conflict with curiosity, with that empathy, that's how you build trust, even in the tough moments.
This has been awesome. Good team, bad team. It's more than just a catchy title. It's given us so much to think about. And for anyone listening, I hope you're walking away with some serious tools to level up your team. Remember, the best teams, they're built on purpose, on trust, and having a way to navigate those challenges together.
It's about knowing that those differences in how we think, they're not a weakness, they're a huge asset. Embrace those differences, work towards that shared goal. That's how amazing things happen.
So as you go back to your teams, your projects, think about this. What's one thing, even a small thing, that you can do differently? One step you can take to start building that good team you know you're capable of.